Hello, and thank you for watching Hollywood Crawford Door Company's video explaining how to measure an opening for a garage door installation. This video specifically describes the requirements of Wayne Dalton 9100 and 5120 series garage doors. Doors of other models and manufacturers are often similar, but are generally 1 inch or more thicker, and some measurements may need to be adjusted. Here we are at a typical new construction site ready for the door to be installed. These instructions apply to existing homes as well. First, measure the width of the opening. Measurement should be made from inside jamb to inside jamb of the finished opening. The width of the opening should equal the width of the door. If the opening is narrower, the door will extend past the opening on both sides. The concrete recess, framing, and side room will have to compensate for this. For non-standard opening widths, special-sized doors may be special ordered, but generally these special orders will require a longer lead time to receive and will be more expensive. This is an example of a narrow opening which required additional framing to compensate. To measure the opening height, measure from the floor where the door will sit to the lower edge of the top jamb on the finished opening. This height measurement should equal the height of the door. The opening height needs to be measured on both sides of the opening. If there is more than 1 inch variance between the left and right height measurements, call or email Hollywood Crawford Door Company to discuss the best remedy. Doors for openings with odd heights can be special ordered, but generally these doors will be more expensive and it will take longer for the doors to be available for installation. Headroom is the distance from the top of the door to the ceiling or to the lowest obstruction in the area above the garage door. Most doors require a minimum of 12 inches of headroom for the door and an additional 3 inches if a garage door opener will be installed. To measure headroom, measure from the floor where the door will sit to the ceiling or lowest obstruction and subtract the door's height. If you have less than 12 inches of headroom, or 15 inches for doors with openers, call or email Hollywood Crawford Door Company to discuss the best solution. If you have a very tall ceiling, you may want to consider high lifting the door. This special installation uses longer vertical tracks so the door moves parallel with the wall until it approaches the ceiling or lowest obstruction. This allows more overhead space in the garage, which is most useful in garages with very tall ceilings. If you are interested in this option, contact Hollywood Crawford to discuss details. Tracks for standard doors allow the door to be raised and rest in a horizontal position at a height approximately 12 inches above the height of the door. The horizontal track is attached to the ceiling and needs sufficient headroom for the door to rest above the top of the opening. At a minimum, the horizontal track will need enough backroom for the entire height of the door, plus 16 inches. A standard door installation requires a minimum of 3.5 inches on both sides past the edge of the door. The framing the tracks are mounting to must be flush with the inside edge of the side jambs. In this photo, the jambs will need to be repositioned or material will need to be added to make the side room flush with the jambs. If you want the garage door to sit in the recess, this photo shows requirements for Wayne Dalton 9100 and 5120 doors. The tracks require 1 3/4 inches of space past the edge of the door and 2 3/4 inches back from the wall where the tracks mount. In this illustration, it is assumed the door width equals the opening width. If the door is wider than the opening, remember to compensate for the difference in width. This is the side view of the installed tracks with vinyl weather stop applied. Track for Wayne Dalton 9100 and 5120 doors requires 2 3/4 inches of space back from the wall. Other models may require 3 3/4 inches or more. Often, the concrete stem wall or curb can interfere with the tracks. In this photo, since the concrete is 1 3/4 inches or more from the edge of the door, there is no issue with the recess. However, if the concrete wall is higher than 11 inches, it may interfere with the installation of the track brackets. When the installing technician arrives to work, You will need an adequate pathway to carry equipment and tools to the garage, as well as sufficient work area to install the door. Other trades will often put materials in the garage as they are being installed throughout the home. While this is understandable, it is necessary for our technicians to have the space they need to properly and safely install the doors, and that space must obviously be in the garage where the door is to be installed. Items and materials delivered and kept in the garage need to be set behind our designated work area. If one of your trade partners is keeping material in the area we need for installation, please advise them to clear out the workspace we will need until the door is installed. For a proper and safe installation, the light green area shows the floor space that needs to be free of obstructions and hazards. The installer needs at least 5 feet back from the door opening and 12 inches on either side. He also needs 16 inches plus the door height for each horizontal track. This gives them room to set up their ladders and equipment during installation. That concludes this video guide. If you have any questions regarding your garage door or opener, please contact our office and we would be happy to help.